interesting. Obviously, it was Matt Ryan in goal, returning from his facial fracture, which is good. Gethin Jones at right back, who was interesting. Suter, Rouse, Bajic make up the back four. Backus and Irvine sitting just behind Connor Metcalf, who was the more advanced midfield of the three, I would say. On a whole, Boyle and Goodwin either side of Mitchell Duke. And obviously the substitutions made were Sam Silvera, Riley McGree, Yordi Boss, Bruno Fortaroli, and Aidan O'Neill. It was a 2-0 win. Jackson Irvine in the 50th minute, and then the 75th minute, Yordi Boss with his first touch of the game. Now, where do we start? Oh boy. This country and this team is really interesting to watch because post World Cup, and this is kind of be speaking like contextually and holistically, I think post World Cup, everyone was on their high horse about Arnie and about this team, and rightfully so. I mean, they put in 3 hell of performances against Tunisia, Denmark, and Argentina. They really dug in and gave it some of the best performances I've seen from a Socceroos team, right? However, and we can't discredit them, and you could look at the time, and you can go back and watch the podcast that I'd made post those games. I was not discrediting them in the absolute slightest. I was riding the wave like no one else. However, there comes a time now where you need to look back and think about it contextually. Tunisia, we were better than Tunisia on the day, right? And I think we outplayed them for the majority of the game, so that game was fine. Denmark and Argentina, we sat back, we're compact, and tried to hit them both on the counter, and it worked. It's great. And when you verse teams that are better than you, I feel like we're a team that when we verse teams that are better than us, we are good. We are good enough, right, to get a result because we have this ability to sit back, be really compact. We've got a really workmanlike midfield. Like that midfield that we played against India would be, I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead of what I wanted to speak about it and in the order I wanted to speak about it, but that midfield that we played against India would be very, very good against an Argentina or a Denmark or a Uruguay or a like Portugal or a team like that, right? That have a lot of attacking talent because it's very workmanlike, but also technically capable enough to play ourselves out of danger and to play on the counter. They're not just 3 like dogs in the midfield. Like Backus can play a bit, Irvine can play a bit, Metcalf can play a bit, but they're also really workmanlike. But that's besides the point. Well, that's jumping ahead. So the way that we set up against India and the team that we played against India, in my opinion, was very much suited to versing an opposition that is a lot better than us. Like 3 out of the 4 teams were in the World Cup. And that's why it worked. That's why you see like the back 4 barring Jones all started the World Cup, Ryan started the World Cup, Backus played some minutes in the World Cup, Irvine played basically all the minutes at the World Cup, Goodwin played and Duke played. Boyle I think would have played if he hadn't got injured, but he's very similar player to Malik in that respect. So you can kind of say that archetype of player and that kind of prototype played in the World Cup as well. I just think we are currently unable and incapable of playing a style of football that dominates teams. Like we dominated India, but it's really hard to not dominate India as Australia. We weren't doing anything with the ball though. We were not doing anything with the ball. It was centre back to channel to centre back to long ball to Duke, centre back to Hollywood pass by someone who we got cut off. And there was corner after corner after corner after corner, first man after first man after first man after first man. Like there was no breakthrough. Like there was no clear way of this team, or that we could see anyway, that was very much, okay, we're going to pick up the ball here, we're going to play it out to the left, and then we're going to get some underlapping runs, or we're going to get some overlapping ones, we're going to cut inside. There was no clear way of breaking down this defence. And India they were fine. They played well. For what they are, India played well. For a very, very, very average footballing nation, they played well. They were sturdy in defence. They did what they had to do. They offered some things on the counter, but you can't really expect a lot more from them, right? But we were still unable at breaking them down. And does it come down to tactics, team selection, mentality? I've got my theories. I think I don't think you can question the mentality of this group. I don't think you can question the mentality of this group. I think every person that plays, every person that goes to camp, every person that plays has tip-top mentality. I think that was clear to see in the World Cup. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the players don't want it. I'm going to sit here and say that they're being set up to fail by the coach, in my opinion, both tactically and team selection-wise. It's baffling that Alex Robertson didn't go, and the fact that he's done his hamstring and won't play for the rest of the season, I don't think, is heartbreaking, right? Because he's a world class talent. Like it's not inflammatory for me to say that he's a world class talent. Like he will be in the Man City team in the very very near future, right? Just look at Portsmouth fans' reaction to his injury and to what he's done this season. I think that says a lot. And Portsmouth are a top of League One, right? So they're a championship level team. The fact that he didn't go is just bizarre to me. The fact that, I mean, it's very unfortunate that Hrustic is in the position that he's in with injuries and being horrendously out of form, but I feel like we could have done with him. Obviously, Moyes retired, so we have to develop a way to change around him. But there's just this distinct lack of creativity in that team. And I'm not going to sit here and speak about and individualise players because those players have strengths in their own rights. Backus, I think, is a fantastic defensive midfielder, right? Irvine, I am a massive advocate for Jackson Irvine. I think he's exceptional, right? His ability to work all day, his ability to make late runs into the box, he's extremely professional. I really like Jackson Irvine. Conor Metcalfe as well, I think he's in a very, very similar vein. But that midfield together does not work against teams like India. It doesn't work because there is none of them have that X factor. And in the same vein, that front three is good against a team like Argentina or he's good against a team like Denmark, but it is so unbelievably kind of cookie cutter way of set up. Like it's set up in such a cookie cutter way where it's like big man, left-footed left winger, right-footed right winger who are quick and direct. Get the ball to them, they're going to cross the ball in. Like, it's very predictable. Very predictable. And against a team like India, who probably didn't really pay a lot of attention to their attacking exploits, because when they got the ball, they would just go and try and make something happen. So they obviously would have focused a lot more on the defensive aspect of the game. They would have seen that we're probably going to start with Goodwin, Boyle and Duke. Okay, show them inside, don't allow the cross. Show them inside, don't allow the cross. If you put Goodwin onto his right foot, he's got nothing to offer. If you put Boyle onto his left foot, he's got really nothing to offer. And Duke is only really good in a very physical, aerial kind of style of game, which this game wasn't that. So it was really predictable. And even when we saw the substitutions that came on, McGree made an impact, Boss made an impact. I think Silvera played okay. I thought Bruno made an impact when he came on. I think there needs to be a massive shift in the way that we approach games, not from a mental perspective, because I think we're going into every game thinking that we're going to win it, right? And I think we're going into every game thinking that we are going to dominate this opposition. However, the manner in which we dominate the opposition has to be different. We need to dominate them in a different way. If we play that way that we play against Japan and South Korea, that we played against India, we might nick a result, but it won't be pretty, right? But we could so easily play that way against like the UAE, or even against Uzbekistan, or even against a team like maybe Saudi Arabia a little bit better, but like a Qatar, and we could so easily lose because they are the level of team where they are good enough to handle us defensively, but they've also got enough on the counter-attack to hurt us. So we're going to sit there and approach the game and play the way that we played, but they're going to be able to hit us on the counter. Whereas if we play against like a Japan or a South Korea, we know we're going to sit back, give them the ball, we're going to be the team that sits back. So that's the kind of shift in approach. The way that I would change it, I think McGree has to start. McGree has to start. Like, non-negotiable. The changes that I would make, like the performance was fine. Objectively speaking, the performance was fine. We won first game of the tournament, get away 2-0 win. We didn't really suffer any scares defensively. No real injuries to note of. It was a completely fine performance. However, things need to change. And the changes that I would make, McGree has to start. Has to start. Like, absolute non-negotiable, McGree has to start. I think Jordi Boss needs to start in some aspect because he came on and showed a completely different level of X factor than what Aziz was able to show, even though Boss played left wing, and even Goodwin was able to show as a left winger. I think we need to find a way to implement someone like a Silvera or a Yenji or a Bruno, because they're players that offer something different. It offers unpredictability, and it also offers the ability for us to play football. Like, I love Duke, but he isn't a striker that you play when you want to dominate a team in the final third. I love Goodwin, but he isn't a player that you play when you want to dominate a team into the final third. Even players like Tilio, who I know hasn't played a lot for Celtic this season, but he's a player that will get on the ball and make something happen. He's direct, he's fluid, he's very quick feet, got good agility, right? So players like Tilio, players like Yenji who can make something happen, who's a far more dynamic version of Duke. Bruno, even if you want to play Bruno up front, and we've seen how good he can be for victory this season, right? McGree has to start. Like, there needs to be some changes to this team, because if we keep playing that same workman-like team against teams where we should beat comfortably and dominate comfortably, it's going to eventually come back to bite us in the arse, like it did in 2019 when we versus the UAE. We scraped through against Uzbekistan in that tournament, and we lost to the UAE because of this timid, cowardly, in some aspects, team selection, in my opinion. We, as one of the top 5 teams in the tournament, we are setting up not to lose, than to win. And that shouldn't happen as a team with the quality that we've got. It's not a mentality thing, it is a personnel and a selection thing, in my opinion. And a tactics thing as well. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. Yeah, we won, which is great, because I didn't really want to see Australia lose to India of all teams. I think we're gonna have our work cut out for us against Uzbekistan and Syria, because Syria nearly knocked us out of the World Cup in 2018, and Uzbekistan took us to pens in the following tournament. So it's not going to be easy. It will be a lot of things, and easy won't be one of them. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on Australia and the Asian Cup. That's that's what I think needs to happen for the next for the next game. Just win. McGree has to start. I can't get over how much of a non-negotiable that is. How much of a non-negotiable that is. Would I start Silvera? Maybe, probably not. Tilio and Yanji are they're the X factor players that you want to bring off the bench. I would have started Alex Robertson. I think Alex Robertson starts, like, absolute non-negotiable in this team. But what can you do, hey? What can you do? Anyways, that is all I want to speak about for the Australian Asian Cup aspect of things. I feel like that's otherwise I'll drive myself insane.